Today we are going to discuss about XPath and CSS. In this class, we are going to complete both of them. Okay. So XPath is used in Selenium. XPath is used to locate the elements, and we know XPath is one of the Selenium locator, right? So what are the Selenium locators? We know ID, name, and link text, partial link text, class name, tag name, and XPath and CSS. Okay, so XPath is also a one of the Selenium locator, and which is used to locate the element or find out the element. Okay, so typically people use XPath when they are unable to find out the element or locate the element by using ID or name or whatever the remaining stuff. Okay, so using the XPath you can able to identify the element, any element you can able to identify. So in a web page, by using the XPath, you can able to find out any web element. Okay, it's for sure 100% guarantee that you are able to find out any element with the help of XPath, right? So, but there are two variants of XPath. One is relative XPath, the other one is absolute XPath. Okay, so you'll be having a question: what are the different you know flavors of XPath, or what are the different variants of XPath? In that case, you have to answer. There are two types of XPath. One is absolute XPath, and the other one is relative XPath. It's a guarantee question. If you are attending for a Selenium, so definitely you'll be having a questions on XPath. Okay, so varying from simple questions to complex question depends on how you are good. Let's say simple example. Yesterday I conducted some mock interview. Okay, so I'm not sure the company, you know. So 3 months back I have taken a course for them, and after the course they never re-go through the topics which I talked to them. Okay, and suddenly the institute people came to me and they asked me to take a mock interview for them. Okay, and before I take the mock interview itself, I asked one of the person, so are you comfortable? They said yeah. The person said I'm comfortable. So when I asked a couple of basic questions, they are unable to answer. Okay, and I asked, you said you are comfortable but you are unable to answer these questions, and that guy said, so I haven't prepared anything after 3 months, and suddenly I started attending this mock, and give me some time, I will attend. Okay, it depends. Okay, when you started answering the basic questions, they will go to the next level. When you answering the next level of questions, they will go to the complex question. It's all depending on how you answer the questions to them, right? If you answer all the basic, they'll go to the next level, and then they'll go to the next level, and like that they'll test how good you are. Okay, so that's fine. So let's come back to the XPath. So as I said, there are two types of XPath. One is absolute and relative XPath. So what is absolute XPath? Let's say, let's take simple example. You have ordered an item in the Amazon.com or eBay.com, whatever it is. You have ordered an item, and as an address you have given the street name and you have given the pin code. Okay, typically these can happen, right? So typically you'll be giving, including the door number, street, door number, and apartment name, street name, and the city you are leaving, and the state you are leaving, and the country, and the pin code. You give the complete address. Okay, so this is one kind of people will give to make sure that okay, the address is proper. They'll give you the complete address from the door number to the country. Okay, they will give complete address. Okay, so that anybody can able to find out that house. So the other people, the other side, the other people, what they do, they simply give the street name, and as I think they are very famous. Okay, as I think they are very famous, they just give the street name and the pin code. That's it. They leave other fields. Okay, so you might be famous in that street, and the street people will be knowing about you, but how a delivery person will be knowing about you? Okay, so of course you can ask somebody, I am looking for this person in this state, does anybody know? Okay, somebody can guide him. Okay, so that's what happened. So in the similar way, If somebody giving the complete address, you can think that is a absolute path, absolute address. Okay, so from the door number to the country name, if somebody is giving the complete address, you can think of it's a absolute address, it's a complete address. Okay, if somebody is leaving many fields and giving only 2 or 3 fields, saying okay, this is the state name and this is the pin code. Okay, so that you can think of it's a relative address. It's not complete, it's a relative address. Okay, so that's when I take a real-time example, so you can consider that absolute address and relative address. But when it comes to the XPath, when you're trying to locate an element, I'll teach you what is absolute XPath and relative XPath. Let's take this mortgage calculator. Let's click on this Firebug. Okay, you can see a Firepath here, right? I hope everybody aware how to install the Firepath. If anybody not aware of installing the Firepath, okay, so what you can do is Firepath plugin for Firefox. Okay, just click on this. You'll be redirected to a page add-ons for Firefox. Let's click on this Firepath add-ons for Firefox, and just add to Firefox and follow the instruction. You'll be able to install the Firepath plugin. Okay, at that time you might require to restart the browser, and you can able to see a new tab, that is Firepath. And by the way, Firepath is basically to find out XPath and CSS for a web element. Okay, so let's try to find out. Let's take this image. Yeah, so let's look at this image. This particular, it's not an image, it's a header. It's a H2 header. The value, I mean, the text is mortgage calculator. Okay, and to identify this mortgage calculator header, okay, so this is the path I got. So if any path, if any XPath that is starting from the HTML, that is starting from the very beginning tag, okay, that is HTML. If any XPath that is starting from the HTML, and that we call it as absolute XPath. Okay, so let's take another example. Again, this one. Okay, if any XPath which is starting from the root tag, that is HTML. Okay, we call that XPath as absolute XPath. Okay, how can you able to reach to this mortgage calculator image? Okay, so if you see that, if I want to find out this image, okay, if I want to find out this image by using the XPath, and that too by using the absolute XPath, you need to start from the HTML. Okay, so let's see here. So let's look at here. It's a HTML. From the HTML, just everybody focus on how can we reach from the HTML to this image. Okay, so what is the path so that I can able to reach from the HTML to the image. Okay, from the HTML you have to enter to the body, not to the head. Okay, so body, and from the body again there is a header, and from the header there is a div, and from the div again there is a div, and from the div there is an anchor tag, and from there is the image. Okay, let's copy it and paste it to make sure it is identifying it. Okay, you can see that, right? It is highlighting. That's the absolute path. Okay, so you'll be having the complete path to reach to the web element. So let's find it out another thing. Okay, something interesting. and something. Okay, so let's find it out. Okay, this is my path. Okay, I need to find out the anchor tag web element by using the absolute XPath. Okay, let's remove this and let's find it out manually. Okay, so again start from the HTML. Okay, we're going to find out the anchor web element by using the absolute XPath. Okay, absolute XPath always start from the HTML. Okay, from this HTML tag to the anchor tag, how can I reach? What is the path? I need to list down here. HTML and go to the body, and from the body there is a section. Okay, we are not inside the header. Okay, we are inside the section, and from the section there is a div. Okay, make sure is there any siblings are there. Okay, in this section we are inside the div and there is only one div. There is only one div. Okay, so make sure is there any siblings. If there are siblings, you need to, which sibling you have to enter again. Okay, you need to identify with the help of index. Okay, you will be getting to know that. Now it's a div. Again there is another div, and that is also only one. Till now there is a div, again div, one div, two div, and there is a nav. Okay, make sure there is only one nav, and from there there is li. How many li's are there? No, before that ul is there. After the nav there is a tag ul, and now you are at here, you are at ul. Okay, how many ul are there? Only one ul is there. Ul is nothing but unordered list. In the HTML tag, ul is nothing but unordered list. Okay, that's fine. Now from the ul there are so many siblings li. There are so many li tags. These are all the siblings. Okay, now which one you have to enter? This one or this one? You have to specify it. You have to specify it with the help of index. Okay, with the help of index. So the index, I think it could start from the 1, and from there yeah. Okay, let's copy and paste it and make sure it is going the, it has to select mortgage calcs. Somewhere something went wrong. Let's carefully, observe what went wrong. Yeah, so you are right. Somebody mentioned there is two sections are there. Okay, section and section. So how many sections we entered here? Only one section. After the body there is a section, and inside the section there is another section. Okay, so make sure that there are not siblings are there. Okay, there are not siblings. If siblings are there, you have to identify with the help of index. Okay, however we did here, right? So there are multiple li elements are there. Okay, so which element you wanted to enter? Okay, so with the help of index you need to refer it. Okay, if you see here li of 1, the first li I wanted to take the path. Let's copy and paste once again. Now you can see. Okay, so this is the absolute path. This is a complete absolute path, and you don't require to manually identify the absolute XPath. Okay, so the tool will, the firepath tool will generate a absolute XPath for you correctly. Okay, in case if you are if it is too lengthy, for example, if you take this one. Okay, let's take this one. So if you see the absolute XPath for this item or for this web element is too lengthy. Okay, and definitely we might go something missing. We might do some mistake, or we might miss something, and that will eventually will not work for you. Okay, so if you are looking for absolute XPath, you can directly take the help of tool, and you can take it out and you can use it in your code, or you can also identify it manually, however we did it here. Okay, so that's about absolute XPath. So absolute XPath contains the entire path from the HTML to the web element. It will be having the complete path so that you will not miss the web element. So that is about absolute XPath. But whereas then what is relative XPath? Relative XPath is short form of XPath. You will not be following the complete path. You will not be following the complete path, but you could able to find out the web element with the help of a partial path. Partial path. Okay. So we'll see how we can do, how we can able to find out the web element by using the relative XPath also. Okay. I hope absolute XPath is clear to everybody, right? So absolute XPath is also used to find out or locate the web element, but in the absolute XPath, we take the entire path, okay, from the HTML tag, from the root tag to the element, we'll take the complete path, right? So if you see this from the HTML to the input, to this input web element, we take the complete path, okay, to in order to identify the web element. Okay, so let's talk about relative XPath. So relative XPath is having part of XPath. It's not a complete XPath. We'll be taking the part of XPath and will be able to identify the web element. Okay, so let's see how we can able to use relative XPath to find out the web element. Right. So before that, I recommend all of you to take this piece of information. Not right away. I'll explain first, and then you can take it off. The first one is the root element. Now I'm talking about relative XPath. The root element is identified as double slash. Okay, and to identify all the div elements. Okay, so this is the entire HTML page. This is the entire HTML page. If you want to identify all the div elements, which are available in this page. Okay, as I said, double slash, the if you use the double slash, the set start from the root, from the root find out all the div elements. Okay, there are total 90 matching nodes, there are total 90 nodes are there. So let's look at this. To identify the link tags that are within the div element, okay, if you want to identify, you wanted to identify the link tags, you wanted to identify the anchor tags, but those are inside the div, immediately inside the div. If you use a single slash, is nothing but immediate child of the parent element, that is here div. So let's say if you want to identify all the anchor tags which are immediate child of div. Okay, so how many are there? 4 matching nodes are there. Okay, so there is an anchor tag which is immediate child of div. This is one, and let's go to the down. Again there is an anchor tag which is immediate child of div. Okay, again there is an anchor tag which is immediate child of div. Okay, if you want to find out all the anchor tags which are inside the div, may not be the immediate child. Remember, if you want to find out all the anchor tags which are inside the div, which are inside the div, may not be the immediate child, may not be the immediate child. In that case, use double slash. Now see, the magic. How many are there? 48 matching nodes are there. Okay, you can see here there is an anchor tag which is inside the div. There is an anchor tag which is inside the div, but it is not the immediate child. Again, there is an anchor tag which is inside the div, but not the immediate child. Okay, may or may not. Here it is. If you look at the top, so this one is immediate. The anchor tag is immediate child of div. Here it is not immediate child of div. Okay, so that's how, as I told, if you want to find out all the anchor tags which are inside the div, may or may not the immediate child, then you can go for double slash. Okay, double slash will contain, which is going to search for all the elements, all the matching elements. Doesn't matter which are immediate child or which are inside the element. Doesn't matter. Okay. So what is this? To identify all the elements under the div. Okay, so we use star in order to, let's say here you are trying to identify all the elements which are all the anchor tag elements, all the uh, here you are going to identify all the anchor elements or link elements. So in this case, you are going to identify all the elements. You are not specifying particular element. You are not specifying particular element. You're just saying star. It's going to identify all the elements, and those are immediate to the immediate child of div. Okay, so you can see here it is anchor tag is selected, here nav is selected. Okay, if either you take anchor tag, either you take nav, but both of them are immediate child of div. Okay, only immediate child of div will be highlighted here, also div form and div. Okay, like that. So this one is the third, div should be the third element from the root. Div should be the third element to identify all the div elements that are at 3 levels down from the root. Okay, identify all the div elements that are 3 levels down from the root. Okay, so this is the HTML body. Okay, and div 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 levels down. Okay, so these are the common notations that we will be using in the relative XPath. So let's talk about something more interesting and um, more frequently used terminology. Okay, let's say you wanted to find out an anchor tag. Okay, so if you see this, there are 4 matching nodes out there. Okay, there are 4 matching nodes out there. Okay, fine. Now out of all these things, you wanted to find out, okay, a anchor tag which has a hash symbol. Okay, a anchor tag which has a hash symbol for its property href. Okay, in that case, what is the attribute or property here? Href. Okay, that has to be mentioned as href. Okay, and whose value should be hash. You can see there are 2 items are selected, this one and this one, and I wanted to select only one thing. Okay, in that case you can use some other attribute so that you can able to identify it uniquely. Okay, maybe you can use class the complete class name you have to give, and the attribute name is class. Okay, you can see only one matching node is selected. Okay, so the syntax is the tag name, that is anchor tag, and the attribute can be represented with at symbol. Okay, so this is the, I can say this is the attribute name, any attribute, it could be id, h reference, or whatever it is. Okay, any attribute name that should be represented by the at symbol equal to attribute value. Okay, so you can also compare the same thing here. So you can see that here the attribute name is class and the attribute value is example 8 cbox element. Okay, so this is one of the thing which will be using most frequently in the XPath. So this is the syntax, and there is also one more notation. Let's say you wanted to select this mortgage calculator. Okay, so what is the tag it is using? H2, right? H2, and it has a text mortgage calculator at, not at, let's say use text equal to mortgage calculator. So it doesn't have any property. Otherwise, I would have gone with at the attribute name equal to attribute value. It doesn't have any attribute. Okay, attributes are also called as property. Does not confuse if I say attribute or property. Both are same. Okay, it does not have any attribute, and to identify this web element with the help of relative XPath, what I'm doing is I'm taking its text, okay, and comparing with its value. Now you can see the element is found. Okay, sometimes you can see that the part of the text could be keep changing. Okay, the part of the text could be keep changing in a website. Okay, in that case you can also use contents. You can also use contents. Okay, so the contents can be used. Okay, first of all, copy this one and then we'll talk about contents. This is another example. Contains. So this time you should not use equal, I guess. Okay, so you don't require to give the complete thing. Contains, yeah, you have to give one more. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, I have given the complete text, that is mortgage calculator. I just given the part of the text, that is mortgage. Okay, so what we are doing, if the text contains mortgage, okay, and that, and whose parent is h2, okay, not parent. So this complete meaning I can say like this. Okay, so in the entire document, any h2 header which contains a text mortgage, okay, return that web element. So this XPath, I can say any h2 tag which contains the tag, which contains the text that is mortgage. Okay, here mortgage calculator is the text. Okay, any header2 tag which contains a text that is mortgage, return me that element. So, and how we can pronounce this one, how we can talk about this one. So first copy this one and paste it here. This is another way of finding the web element. Okay, so this one I can say find out the anchor tag, whose attribute class equal to example 8 C book element, and this anchor tag should be the child of div, okay, find out the anchor tag which should be the child of div and whose class attribute value is example 8 C box element. Okay, you can also say this way. Now you know how to identify the web element with the help of attribute, and you also know how to identify the web element with the help of its text. Okay, So let's take all these things into your notes and let me know once you are done. XPath of two types, or I'll do one thing. Okay, I'll copy this entire stuff into the chat box. You can take it later, but make sure after this class you practice this one. If anybody wants to know more about XPath, I also given a link to you. You can go there. You can find out more example. Okay, XPath is also a kind of one kind of tutorial or one kind of subject. Okay, so it is basically used for parsing the XML document or parsing the HTML documents. Okay, and this is one kind of separate subject we can say, and these are the mostly used terminologies or stuff in our Selenium. If you want to know more about XPath, you can also refer this particular website. Okay, 95% of the time you can able to get the XPath by using this terminology or by using these notations. In case if you are unable to find out the XPath, you can take the file path help, where you can take the absolute XPath or relative XPath. If you want to find out the relative XPath, okay, so what you have to do is click on the file path. So uncheck this generate absolute XPath. Uncheck this generate absolute XPath. So from there onwards, it's going to give you relative XPath. Okay. So how do you differentiate relative XPath and absolute XPath? It could be a interview questions to you. Okay. So I already told you in the very beginning, if any XPath that is starting from the HTML, okay, that is absolute XPath. Anything else is a relative XPath. Okay. So you need to remember that. And relative XPath are more accurate, when you find it out manually rather than taking from this file path. Okay, so absolute XPath blindly you can take it from the file path. Okay, it gives you the perfect answer, it gives you the perfect XPath. So when it is absolute XPath, but when it is relative XPath, I recommend you to take the relative XPath manually written by you, not the tool generated one. Okay, so see this one. See this one. So to identify this mortgage calculator, the XPath that we identified is this one. This one. Okay. So how big it is. And see this one. The same thing, the tool is identified. The tool is identified. Okay. And look at this, how big it is. Okay. This is the one generated by the tool. And this is the one generated by us. Now you can see the differentiation, right? So if you want to find out the relative XPath, I recommend you to draw it on your own rather than taking it from the tool. Okay. And there is a question, which one we should consider, absolute XPath or relative XPath, which is the better one? Okay. So this could be an interview question again. So I always recommend, not me, everybody always recommend, go with the go with the relative XPath. Go with the relative XPath. The reason is if you take a absolute XPath, okay, for example, if you take a absolute XPath, this complete address to find out this mortgage calculator. So let's say in future somebody removed this section, when they are modifying the web pages. Okay, so websites are tend to modify every day. If you take Amazon.com, okay, so every day it will be modified with some new things. Okay, and so when websites are tend to modify regular basis, okay, so it is not recommended to go with the absolute XPath. As I said, if I remove one of the section, okay, you cannot able to identify the web element. Okay, or if I add one more section or one more div in between. Okay, it's not I'm adding. When developer is changing the website, he might feel, okay, by adding a div it looks more beautiful, he added one div, that's it, all your XPath will not work. Okay, So that's the reason it is recommended to go with the relative XPath. So even though the previous tags, even though the previous tags or whatever it is modified, doesn't matter. Okay, as long as this H2 text, as long as the text is not changed, as long as the tag name is not changed, okay, it doesn't matter. In between whatever is changed, doesn't matter, your XPath will always work. Okay, so that's the reason it is recommended to go with the relative XPath. And how do we find out the web elements by using the XPath? So I don't require to take an example for this, I know you are aware of it. Driver dot find element by dot XPath. Okay, whether it is a relative XPath or absolute root XPath, doesn't matter, it is okay to give. Okay, so driver dot find element by XPath, and you have to give the XPath expression, so that one which is generated. Okay, so either you have drawn it or either you have taken it from the tool, whatever it is, you need to pass that XPath here. That could be relative or absolute XPath, and which is going to return you a web element. Okay, using this element, you can click, you can send keys, you can clear, you can do whatever you wanted to do with the element. Okay, so that's about XPath.